Hello, 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 everybody. This is Lodurus. I hope you guys are all doing well. I'm honestly doing a little weird today. I've had a bit of an odd day, and pardon me, want to kind of continue the strange conversations I've had today with you guys. I guess some bit of a dialogue. I I've had an odd conversation because I've spent the day. Where's my food? I'm full. I spent the day talking to some coworkers about just different ideas, and one of the ideas that came up was the idea of fear. And this will be a bit of a heart-to-heart conversation, I guess, so I apologize if I'm not my usual bouncy self. I'll be a little bit pensive. Basically, it was the same thing with all of them, that fear was a bad emotion, a negative emotion, that it wasn't a good thing to have, that people shouldn't feel fear, but I, in my attempts to have a conversation with them, which is, by the way, very difficult to do in a loud environment, but I did the best I could, and I tried to dissuade that line of thinking. I think that's a very limited line of thinking. The idea that there is only kind of two types of emotions. There is good and bad, positive and negative, and I don't think there are two groups, but I think that all emotions can be both positive and negative, if that makes sense. It's the idea that anything in excess is bad for you. Um, there is a Greek, or maybe it's a Roman idea, that every virtue is a vice. And yeah, I think that's a bit of a philosophy that I subscribe to, that every virtue is a vice. Anything in excess is bad. The idea that life should be balanced out is important. Um, Random side note, I built the house. I made a bush. We moved cows over here. You may have noticed these things, and I probably should have told you. I'm sorry. Um, we're going to work on these today while I talk about philosophy and ideas and things like that. I hope you'll put up with it and listen while we work on this stuff. I... Where was I? So, I... Yeah, I don't think that there's such a thing as a bad emotion. I think that all emotions, in a way, serve a point to illustrate things. How can I best explain this? So, sort of the idea of the yin and yang. So everyone says that being sad is a negative emotion, but I think being sad is an important emotion, because being sad is one of the emotions that teaches you what you value. I also think that sorrow and sadness are things that can teach you. And that may sound weird, but I mean... Oh, Jeezy! We have to solve this issue on the ceiling of our roof right now. Anyway, as I was saying, you knocked the wall out. As I was saying, I don't think that there are bad emotions. I think that it's in excess, those emotions are bad. I think that fear and sorrow are good things. I mean, I want you guys to think, like, when you're happy, do you really try and improve the world? Do you try and improve yourself? Do you take moments of introspection to try and improve your life? Or is it the moments when things are bad that you seek to improve things? I know personally, I don't try and fix my life, so to speak, if I'm happy, because I'm happy, things are great. Why would I want to change what is good? And that's sort of the idea of why I think sorrow is necessary, is you don't know the good without the bad. And I realize that's kind of a lame, cheesy thing to say, but I mean, it's very much true. If you were always happy, would you know what it means to be, like, would you understand what it means to be unhappy? Could you be unhappy? Would that be a concept that was something you were able to understand if you never experienced it? And that's something that I don't know. It's something I think about. It's one of the things that I wonder about the world. And it's, yeah. But our talk was about fear, and I think fear is important. I think fear is very much something that we need as a people, as a species, because I think fear, not I think, I know fear is the emotion that teaches you what you value. I know if I'm not afraid to lose something, if I'm not afraid of something, then maybe I don't value it. Like, people are afraid to die because they value life. People are afraid of spiders because they don't want to get bit. Uh, People are afraid of other cultures or places because they don't know what could be there. It's the fear of the unknown, the possibilities, even no matter how good, how bad they could be. And I don't know, maybe I'm rambling. Maybe I'm just babbling like an old man right now, but I don't care. It's something I'd like to share. It's a thought that's been, like I said, it's been popping up. It's been a theme throughout the day, and it's the idea of that fear is a bad thing, and yet I feel fear is a good thing. Maybe it's a rational look to an irrational concept. Many fears are irrational, but I mean, some of the things oh, what was their name again? I don't remember. I think it was a TED Talk. I really like Ted, by the way, not the person Ted, but well, maybe Ted's a nice person. I don't really know Ted. Uh, but the YouTube channel, TED Talks. And dang it. The gentleman who was giving the speech was talking about how there are really only two fears in your life you ever really have, and that's a fear of heights and a fear of loud noises. Those are your fears. You own those fears. Everyone is born afraid of heights and loud noises. It's a primal fear, which I can agree with the concept of. I mean, it's an interesting concept, but the idea that you're afraid of heights because our ancestors would be afraid to fall out of trees and hurt themselves. Back in the days, before modern societies, a simple scratch could kill you. If it gets infected, sepsis could set in, and you'd be a goner. And so I think that's very true. He also mentioned that we borrow fears from people. That any other fear we have is a fear that someone else has developed or given us. Although that makes me wonder where those fears actually spawned from, if they're all borrowed. But that's neither here nor there, and I very much can see that. I've seen instances where a parent is actually, I can think of a couple of friends right now where their parent is very much afraid of spiders, and so they're very much afraid of spiders. Now, I used to be afraid of spiders, and one of the things I've always done to get over my fears is researched it. Um, I was terrified of spiders. They scared the snot out of me. I hated them. They were ugly, and I started looking at close-up pictures of them. I started reading about what they do and how they interact with the world, and I started realizing how important they were and how amazing they were. And because I took the time to discover them and learn about them, I realized I was no longer afraid of them. I actually liked them and wanted to see them, and I think that's one of the ways we can get over fears. But again, it's not that we should not be afraid. I think fear is important, but I think with all things, it's a moderation. And yeah, I don't know. That's the weird little pensive thought I've had that I wanted to share with you guys, because like I said, it's been rolling around a lot today, and it's something I find quite interesting. Let's sleep. Stupid creeper. But yeah, fear is important. Actually, speaking of fear, one of the things I used to do in elementary school and high school is I loved reading scary stories, loved scary movies. I enjoy the idea. I enjoy being afraid, as weird as that sounds. Um, which sounds weird because, as I said, it's a natural occurrence, but it's an occurrence that shoot. Take this. Um, we learn it, and it's like I said, fear can also teach us. Fear can serve a very great purpose in teaching us what it is we value, and that is sort of my little philosophy that I subscribe to. Is that fear is there to educate us. Uh, I really like this, but I also like creepers not falling on me. So yeah, I'm curious what you guys have to say. Do you feel fear is important? Do you feel fear serves a purpose? Do you enjoy being afraid? I don't know. But as I was saying, one of my favorite things is I loved so much, and I ended up tracking down and finding original copies of them. Um the books are called Scary Stories. Oh, what I'm gonna look over at my bookshelf and see right now. Scary Stories and More Scary Stories, and then there's a third one called Even More Scary Stories. For those of you who have not seen these books, I was in grade 6 when I first read these. Okay, so that would put me at about what are you like 5, 6, about age 6, grade 1. I was in grade 6, so that would put me at like age 11. My math is right there. 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 11. So I'd be 11 years old. You need to Google these books and you need to see what these books are about. You need to see the art of these books. And if I can find a link, I will totally find a link and share the art with you guys. The artwork is beautiful and horrifying. It is creepy, 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 but also beautiful. It reflects the stories. They add so much to the stories. They're horrifying and beautiful. And if you ever get a chance to read the Scary Stories and Even More Scary Stories, I don't have the third one, so I can't remember what the stories are like in that one. But it's a wonderful book series, and I would suggest completely 100% you buy these for kids. As insane as that sounds, because they taught me about fear. They taught me what it was to be afraid, and that sometimes fear is nothing at all. There's actually a section in the books where there's stories about characters in the that it's a series of short stories. I don't know if I mentioned that. The characters effectively scare themselves, and I think it's very important for kids to realize that sometimes the what's the old saying? The only thing you have to fear is fear itself, and it's very true. We can be our own worst enemies and create our own greatest fears. Our minds are amazing at creating horrible scenarios that may or may not be real, and that's God. The number of times we've yeah, no, that is very true. The number of times I've tried to console friends or even myself, knowing that I am my own worst enemy, that I am creating these fears, and I don't know. But these books, I think, are important for kids to read because I think the concept that you can be your own worst enemy, that you can create your own fears, is something children need to learn so they can see how silly it is to not be afraid because, yeah, you're afraid, but being afraid doesn't solve anything. Being afraid doesn't fix things, but it can motivate you to be afraid. Anyway, I've been rambling a lot, and I'm sure you guys are kind of tired of hearing it, but it's ideas I have, ideas that go through my head. It's one of the things I think about. Life is an interesting thing, and it's one of the things I don't know. Life's fun, and it's the good with the bad, and it's things like it's balance that make life enjoyable. I know someone, a very dear friend. She would have what others would call the ideal life. She has everything anyone could want. Um, she has a job that she loves, a loving partner, and she's not happy a great deal of the time because I don't know. Happiness is another thing that's weird. It's hard to find happiness. It's one of those things you have to figure out what makes you happy and not what makes other people happy. I know society brings about an idea that this is happiness, this thing is happiness, like this stump is happiness, and so everyone should have it, but everyone's idea of happiness is different because it's all based upon your upbringing and your experiences, and as the old saying is, one man's trash is another man's treasure, and that's very true. What makes you happy may not make somebody else happy, and a lot of people forget that. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're gonna try something, by the way. I've organized everything, in case you hadn't realized. Actually making use of all the storage here. Random stuff, dyes and wools, miscellaneous, armor stands. I don't know, I've been trying to make the place a little more useful and a little more lived in. I'm staring at the wood in my inventory, I apologize. We need to do something with this. I don't know what we'll do. We're gonna have to make a kitchen and a living room or something. I want it to feel like a home, because this is our home. It should be a home. I just don't know how to do that yet. I'm also trying to grow brown mushrooms, which, by the way, if you've ever tried to grow brown mushrooms, are a nightmare to grow. But yeah, that is... we'll talk about Minecraft now for the time being. It's, as I said, it's something that I wanted to kind of flush out with you guys. It's very different, I know. I have a workbench here. I hate the fact that you can't remember something sometimes. Is this how you do it? It is. And then... yes. We'll keep you here. So what I want to do... wrong. 3. So we are actually going to make a loop up here. The idea is that we're going to have a railway system going up and down into the mine. We will have the right side to go up, and we can ride it around and come back up and stop here. I think it will be interesting. I think it'll be enjoyable. It'll be a different way to do things. I'm just not too sure if that does actually work. Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Yeah. Actually, we should do it so that either way is an acceptable... anyone remember the number of spaces you need to make a minecart go up? I think it was 4? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so I think I'm allowed to put here and here. And then every 4 is where it'll be. 2, 3, 4. This is going to be a very expensive run. Maybe we'll just start on one side and worry about the other later. Actually, I want to just grab some iron and make a minecart to see how that's going. I didn't do much else, by the way. I've been growing trees, collecting wood. I got the dock done. Weird how those don't turn... Oh, did I not switch them? I bet you I didn't switch them. Oh, no. That was weird. Yeah, I've just been growing stuff. Doing a lot of the more boring stuff off camera. I did put some of the ladders on. It looks a lot better with the ladders there, and it's actually, more importantly, a lot more functional. I can get up and down easier. But I will probably call this an episode here, actually, guys. I know it's a bit shorter, but I'm not, like I said, I've been in a weird mood. It's always the human condition to not know or understand another human being, but it's important to try and understand others and see if they're wrong, where they went wrong, and if they have a different viewpoint, see what that different viewpoint is, and more importantly, if they have a wrong or an unjust viewpoint, helping them to see what it means or what really is right in the world. I don't know. I don't want... Forgot the iron. Yeah, the world's just a wacky place, and it's really hard sometimes for us to understand each other. God knows I have a hard time understanding people. I'm not gonna lie. I want to understand people, but it's so hard sometimes. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening to me in this very weird and pensive episode where we put a roof on and talked, and I showed you things, and a creeper scared the snot out of me, and we will test a minecart to make sure it works. Oh, that's not how we wanted to go, but it is good to know that that was totally unexpected. Did not think that would happen. But now we know we can stop on an incline. Anyway, guys, as I was saying, thank you very much for watching. Hope you guys have a great day. Hope you guys are doing well. I hope your lives are going great for you. And if things aren't, don't worry. The bad stuff doesn't last forever. And if you can, try and make the best of it. Try and figure out what is causing it. I don't know, I'm terrible with advice, and I don't want to undermine or belittle or devalue anything anyone's going through right now, but I don't know, I feel it's important to try and learn from the bad things in order to make things good again. And sometimes it doesn't seem like there's an end to the bad, but there is. It's just usually it's never easy to find, that's all. But until I see you guys again, as I was saying, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day, and take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.